Hey y'all, Toad here. Wow. Every once in a while you see a piece of video or somebody says something that just really gives you a window into the way they think. And, most of the time you don't pay attention to it. People are entitled to their opinions and whatnot, but there was a certain gentleman who was asked by a reporter if the new laws in New York as they pertain to firearms and the Second Amendment, if these new laws could be used as a role model for other states. And I'm going to give you the direct quote of his answer. Quote, "Well, I hope so. New York is a little different and more progressive in a lot of areas than some other states, and some of the southern areas have cultures we have to overcome." You catch that last bit of that? Some of these southern areas have cultures that we have to overcome. Wow. Now, who would, somebody said that, one of your friends says, hey, there's a culture over there in New York, or a culture over there in Georgia, or a culture over there in Arizona that we have to overcome. You just kind of look at them funny. Like, we? Who's we? Whose culture are we having to overcome? What makes this particularly disgusting is that sentence was uttered by Charles Rangel. Yeah, member of the U.S. House of Representatives from New York's 15th District. When a congressman is asked if legislation that he backs or agrees with should be used as a role model, and in his sentence of saying yes or he hopes so, he reminds the reporter, or states to the reporter, that southern areas, or any area for that matter, southern areas have cultures that we have to overcome. Who the hell is we? He's speaking as a congressman. He's speaking about legislation. Congressman, House of Representatives. This is where legislation federally originates, in case you didn't know. So unless Charlie Rangel has a mouse in his pocket, he just admitted that we, meaning whichever group he might be involved in that has something to do with legislating for the masses, believes that, at least in this case, southern areas have cultures that we have to overcome. That right there should enrage anybody who doesn't have a culture that Congressman Rangel agrees with. Now, I obviously, being a southern person myself, I'm just going to let that phone ring. I ain't going to worry about it because I'm not going to stop. The point being, if you live in the South, you should be enraged over this, because you've just been identified by a member of Congress as having a culture that has to be overcome. Now, they're talking about firearms laws here. Why did Congressman Rangel target the South? You people out west, Arizona, Texas, Idaho, Utah, as it relates to firearms and the legislation that they're discussing, don't you folks out there have a similar idea? You can't have a similar culture, right? Because Southern culture, that's a key word there. So Congressman Rangel either believes that only Southerners are to be targeted for their culture to be overcome, or anybody who has a culture he doesn't agree with is a culture that shall be overcome. To me, this just amazes me. When a sitting representative of the United States of America feels comfortable with having a discussion about overcoming American culture, there's a real problem somewheres. Think about it.